But let's talk about stage 3, the getting started. So you've got your AHIP, you've got your contracts. Now what?
Yeah.
What do you do now? I mean, how do I get a lead? How do I get a client? What do I do? And everybody's different. So we all have different ways of getting leads. But when you are brand new, your main focus is, I got to make a sale. I got to see if this thing's going to work. I just spent all this money and time getting contracted.
Mm-hmm.
So now what? And I'll tell you what I did. If you tell me what you did, and your situation is a little bit different because you came into an agency that was already established, right?
Sort of. So my situation is weird, odd. I would say like one in a million kind of situations. And so I came in working with my dad, who had an established agency, and I was a downline for him when I got started. But the way I got started in prospecting was cold calling. It was 2014. So the way we got started was a list of people turning 65, 90 days out, calling for Medicare supplement. And that was how I got started. So that is literally probably how I got my first 200 or 300 clients, was doing that. And do I recommend doing that today? No, I do not.
No, because you can get in trouble doing it today.
Absolutely. You could back then too, but the rules were a little more less defined back then. But also it was one of those things where that's what I thought. I mean, I was 21, 22, 23. I thought that's how everybody was doing business. It was more just like, that's what I thought. That's what I was told to do. That's what I did, and it worked. But if I had to start over again today, would I do it exactly the same way? Absolutely not. Cold calling is the most grueling and slowest building of a business you can possibly do. And 99% of people can't do it.
And it's soul killing. It's crushing.
Mm-hmm.
You get so many people that yell at you.
Mm-hmm.
I've done cold calling in the past. I didn't do it for Medicare, but you know how I got started, and I still do it sometimes today, although I'm not really marketing anymore, but I like doing this. And this is why I do it, sending out birthday cards. Instead of picking up the phone and calling the leads that are turning 65, I send them a birthday card. And that's how I got my first client. And I've still gotten clients today from sending birthday cards. And basically it says, hey, I know that your birthday's not for a while, but I just wanted to wish you a happy birthday, and you're turning 65. If you need help with Medicare, call me. And I give them a link to, I have now this is early stage. So for those of you that are just getting started, you don't want to do this, but I have a video program that I have all of my prospects watch before I talk to them. And so on the birthday card, I say, here's some information. You can watch this video. And it's about basically the difference between Medicare Advantage and Medicare Supplement, because I got tired of the 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour conversation explaining the difference. So I turned it into a video and I said, watch this. And that way too, I knew I wasn't forgetting anything, because if I was saying the same thing over and over again to each prospect, sometimes your brain just skips and you forget to tell people something that's really important. Like, for example, that wasn't an omission. The guy that told my husband that he didn't need a drug plan, that was not good. But yeah, so on my birthday card, I have watch this video and then I enclose my card. So that's how I do it, or how I did it. But that's not how I got the majority of my business. The majority of my business came from referrals. And I'm a lazy person. So I do not like doing a lot of work. And Kristen and I, we've had this conversation offline.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want $1 billion business. I just want a nice, easy 6-figure business, a nice life where I don't have to do a lot of work. And so that's what I built for myself. And how I did that was referrals. So when I was brand new in the business, I was a financial advisor, remember? And there is a lead organization called BNI. And It is an international organization, and what they do is lead exchanges. And typically there's one in every city. Even small towns have BNIs, and it's Business Network International, I think is the name of it. At the time, I did the math, and it was about $1,000 for the membership and about $1,000 for the breakfast meetings. And I said, okay, this is going to cost me $2,000. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to get a lead for 2 years. I was thinking this is going to take me 2 years to break even. And I had a lot of misconceptions about it, because as a financial advisor, I had thought I wanted to do this because financial advisors make a lot more money per sale. I mean, we made thousands of dollars per sale. Medicare, I look at renewals, and I always figure that most of my business is med sub. I figure each client is probably $200 to $300 in renewals. That's what I look at. And so 300 versus thousands is a lot different. It's a much different thought. And so I could never get into a BNI as a financial advisor because that spot was always full. And the way that BNI works is you get one spot per category. That's it. If you are the financial advisor, no other financial advisors can come to that meeting as a member. And so when I decided to become a Medicare agent, I called the guy in charge of the San Diego BNIs at the time and said, hey, I'm going to start selling Medicare. What do you think? And he said, sure, come on. And so we looked at a couple of different BNIs in my area. And I decided to go to this one BNI after I went there as a guest because I just loved the vibe. Each BNI has a different vibe. So the first one I went to, they were really straight. They were just like I didn't feel like I could crack a smile or anything in there. So I didn't want to go to that one. And I found my BNI home because they all have their own personalities, these different BNIs. And there was an insurance guy in there. And the insurance guy sold group health. And my first thought process was, this guy's my competitor. He's going to want to be selling Medicare too. He's probably not happy that I joined the group as Medicare because you can only pick like one spot. And I was really thinking that he was going to be my competitor there. And he turned out to be my best referral source in that group. He didn't want to do Medicare. He just wanted to do group. And he and I talked about, Kristen, you probably know this rule. There's a rule that businesses cannot coerce, encourage, pay for whatever their employees to go on Medicare. They're not allowed to do that. And so the insurance agent that I worked with said, I don't want to deal with I don't even want to appear that anybody like that is coercing. So now when I talk to a group insurance person, I say, there is this rule. So if the same insurance person is selling the Medicare that's selling the group, you might get into trouble because the company pays a lot for those 65-year-olds. And so they want them off their plan. But if I was a company owner, I wouldn't want to use the same broker because then it would appear like I was kind of encouraging, coercing, whatever, them to get off. But anyway, he wound up being my best referral partner. And I had broken even after 3 months. I mean, I was amazed. I was really thinking that I was going to be in this business. I was going to be in the BNI. And the best thing that BNI taught me was how to network. Because before I went to BNI, I thought that networking was going to a Chamber of Commerce meeting and passing out as many cards as possible, collecting as many cards as possible, saying I was going to follow up with all those cards, and then 2 weeks later still hadn't followed up with anybody. Does that remind you of anything, Kristen? I don't know. You probably don't do that, but that's what I did. I collected cards, and that's what my networking was. And BNI taught me that you don't do that. And they actually taught me what I thought was very annoying when I was a card collector. And that's where you go to a networking event and you make friends and you hang out with your friends at the networking event. I thought networking events were to meet as many people as possible. And what I found out was that networking events are to create and maintain existing relationships. And so BNI was worth the money. I don't do it anymore because I don't want to get up that early. And, because these meetings are usually at 7 a.m. and I'm usually rolling out of bed at 7:30 or 8. So I don't want to do that. But BNI, I would say if you are a new agent, I would join, even if it's just for the training that they give you on how to network. What do you think, Kristen? Have you ever heard of it? Ever heard of BNI?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not in one, and mostly because my crazy schedule, I couldn't commit to anything. I can't commit to a weekly meeting every week for anything pretty much at this point. But I think that, I've been to a couple meetings over the years, and I think you hit it right on the head from the standpoint that it's going to depend on the group. I think some groups are going to be different than others. They're going to work a little bit differently. You have to find the one that I think that's right for you. There's a great book called, I believe it's called How to Network, that the creator of BNI actually wrote, that I read several years ago, and it helped me a lot when I was early on in my business. It was a very good book. So I highly recommend that book. For us, I would say probably 50% of all of our internal business at this point is referral based. So we get a ton of referrals. The biggest way that we started doing it right off the bat was through working with other agents and other business owners and just different things like that around the area. And a BNI or a networking group like that is a great way to get in touch with some of those people. I did it a little differently. I would just drop in on these people and get to know them that way. And one thing that we did was I targeted for some time financial planners. One thing I did was in about 2016, I self-published a book about Medicare Online. I'm a big fan of self-publishing. Anytime you want to be known as the authority on something, there's no better way to identify with your prospective customers or clients that you're the expert than having a book that's self-published. And if you self-publish it on Kindle, you can order copies of it, author copies, what they call them, just for the cost of printing the book. So you can get them for $1, $2 a piece. So even if you're just using them as lead magnets and handing them out to people when you meet with somebody or whatever the case might be, they're great for that. So what we did was we wrote this book. It's still up on Amazon. It's highly out of date, so don't go buy it. But it's one of those things where we printed about 50 author copies, and I looked at all the different financial planners in my area, and I mailed them out with a letter, different financial planners. Now, some of them did Medicare, some of them didn't. I didn't really know which ones did, but financial planners has become a huge thing for us. And that mailing that book made us stand out because no one else was doing anything like that. No one else approached them.
Totally agree. Now, do you think that that's right to do in the getting started stage?
Probably not. Probably not. I mean,
I would say that's probably either getting going or the hustle. That's
skipping ahead a little bit. I would say, I think, if for me, what I did in the getting started stage, by definition, in terms of building referral partners, is I would really just drop in on people.
That's cool.
I don't think that's a bad way to do it at all. I think you're going to get rejected. And for me, like, I like the game of that a little bit. Like early on, I kind of liked the game. I was kind of glutton for punishment. Cold calling and getting rejected by people was kind of what I was all about.
You liked it.
I like the game of it. I don't miss it. Don't get me wrong. I don't miss it one bit. But what we would do is we would drop in on lawyers, elder law, financial planners, just a lot of times people that you think will never be a good referral partner for you end up being the best referral partners, kind of referencing back to the other agent in your BNI chapter. But the best thing, especially at that time when I got started, you couldn't give referral fees to members. Now you can, but there's limitations, and things like that. But it's very limited. But you can, there's a lot more flexibility if you're giving it to another licensed person. So I would find people that were financial planners, P&C agents, things like that. And what we were telling them was, This was our pitch. We would say, listen, Mr. or Mrs. Financial Planner, you might not do Medicare, but your competitors out there are, and they're using Medicare to get in the door. And once they're in the door, they're going to try to replace the product that you've put on them. Maybe it's an annuity, something like that, any kind of security. So, but they're using Medicare to get in the door. So they're not, your business isn't being protected. They're using Medicare as a way to steal your business. That's their ultimate goal of it. And if you work with me, I don't do what you do. I'm Medicare specialized. I will protect your business. I'll edify you, and we'll give you a referral fee in addition to that. Back then we would do like $100 an app, that kind of thing.
Now I have a question.
Yes.
How many of the financial advisors took you up on the offer to take the referral fee? Because I never would have taken it. It caused me so much paperwork to have an outside business activity. I would have said, keep your referral fee. I don't want it.
Sure. I would say it was probably 50-50.
Okay.
50% of them would take it, 50% of them wouldn't. But you never know what what's going to interest them. Some people will be interested in the additional revenue without having to do anything. The other 50%, they're going to be more interested in their client being protected and keeping everything in house. So you never know. You never know what's going to kind of bite on them. But
so for the viewer, don't be surprised if the financial advisor does not want any money, because it is a hassle.
And in addition to that too, you're going to get shut down way more than you're going to say yes. So like, you're going to have to talk to a lot of people. You have to drop into a lot of offices. But like for us, that's still a big part of our business. Last year, I think we brought on 150 new clients just from financial planner referrals last year.
That's awesome.
So like, it doesn't have to be financial planners. Like I've known people that their niche is dentist offices and they get into dentist offices. I've known people that, tax offices. Like for us, we have, lawyers that send us referrals, financial planners, tax accountants. There's a ton now that send us referrals, and it's just crazy. But it all starts with just making that introduction. So, I think that's a great way when you don't have any money to kind of get yourself ingratiated with the community. And everybody knows, you go to the 55 and up communities, the assisted living communities, you do the Medicare 101s, the bingos, that stuff works too. I think it's really about when you're new, activity is going to be your best friend.
So you know what I did? I made cookies and took them to the pharmacists. So I would make my rounds once a month, bring cookies to the pharmacists, leave my cards, and you'd be surprised how, I don't know if they were allowed to do this or not, but they would pass my card. If somebody was having a problem, they'd pass my card. They'd say, I've got a card right here, and they'd pass my card to the person. And that was from me making cookies and bringing them to the pharmacist. I don't know if they'd want it now with COVID and all that, but it certainly worked back then. And I even put my labels on the cookies. So I had a way of printing. I still have some. Like there's a way to print words on something. It's made out of like cornstarch or something, and you can put it right on the cookie. And I was doing that, so it had my logo on it. I don't do that now, but that is one of the things that I did. And so these things that Kristen and I were just talking about, the cold calling, you can't really do that anymore, but you can mail out. You can mail. And so if your upline isn't going to give you leads or isn't going to take you under their wing and take you out and like work with you, you've got to do something. And usually that means spending either time or money. So what do you have more of? Do you have more time or money? And what I found is that a lot of insurance agents don't understand. And I was business coached for a while. I was paying thousands of dollars for a business coach when I was a financial advisor. And I gave the wrong answer. The first thing that she asked me was, if you could buy a sale, if you could buy a sale for $300 and that sale paid you $400, how many leads would you buy? And I was like, well, I don't know. 300 get 400. I was like, I don't know, 12. What? She said, as many as you can afford, because you are getting $100 extra for each sale, especially in our business. because our business, the sale is not one sale. You're probably going to get paid for 7, 8, 9, 10 years. And so you're thinking it's $300. It's actually $3,000 that you're getting per sale. And she really turned me around on that. I'm like, yeah, if you know that if you spend X amount of money, you're going to get more money back, you should spend as much as you possibly can. And it's funny, on the certified Medicare agent side, I've had not a lot, but a couple of times, the free members, they pay $40 to get the contact info. And when somebody signs up on the site, they have read about you, they have picked you, they're usually turning 65, they need help right now. And I've had agents say they didn't want to pay $40. And I'm like, you are gonna, like, I'm reading the lead and I'm like, this is going to be a sale like tomorrow. Like, why aren't you paying $40 for this lead that's going to make you $700? Now I can't even fathom it, probably because they're thinking that it's not going to close. Mm-hmm. But on my site, if it's a bad lead or not, because you read what the consumer wrote. It's not that you sent out cards to people who live in assisted living communities who don't know that they're responding to a Medicare ad. These are really good leads. And so that's where my head was. It's like, yes, you do usually need to spend money, but not always. Sometimes your upline will give you, they'll give you the list of people turning 65. You can't knock on the door, but you can send them a postcard. That's going to cost you a little bit of money. But let's say you send out 50 postcards. So that's what, 60 cents, call it $1. So that costs you $50, right? To send out 50 postcards. And you make one sale. So you paid $50 and you made $300 to $700, right? Mm-hmm. So remember my business coach, how many of those are you going to do? As many as you can, right? As many as they'll let you do. So that's the getting started. You might have to, but in the getting started phase, you want to do some short-term activities, but also think about long-term. That's why I'm saying, think about joining the BNI. And with Kristen, with him going to the financial advisors and things like that, I did something similar in that I put together free mastermind groups or free networking groups that all had to do with people who work in senior services. And we met once a month. So I had a financial advisor. I had a what do you call it? A fiduciary who dealt with not financial advice stuff, but like the day-to-day bills and things like that. We had assisted living, we had a home health care agency, and we all got together and we exchanged, we learned about each other's business, and then we gave each other's leads, and that was free. I just had to meet the people, and then I would say, hey, why don't you join us? We meet, every, on the first Thursday at noon, and we bring our lunch or whatever it was. That's something that you can do for free. So yeah, but getting those first 10 appointments, I would say that's the hardest part, right? That getting started.
Yeah. I mean, I think everything is the hardest at the beginning because it's new. Everything is new to you, and you're very green. You don't quite know what you're doing. So I think getting in front of people at the beginning is the hardest thing for a new agent, for sure. So I think, however you go about getting in front of people, you have to do it. I'm a big fan of leads as well. Not everybody can afford leads when you first come in, but if you can afford some, I think leads are a great way to basically get you to the point where you have your first 10 clients. And then of course, the next stage of 100 clients. Like, I don't think that buying leads from a vendor is going to be your long-term answer. I think it can help you get established, though. It can help you build a foundation. Long-term, what I want to see agents do is be able to generate their own leads, whether it be through building referral partners like we've been talking about, or sending out postcards, which is your own marketing, whether it's running a Facebook ad, whether it's building a website, building a blog, building a YouTube channel. All of that is self-lead generation. You have control over it. You control the messaging that person is seeing. But I do think when you're first starting out and getting new, I don't think leads are the worst thing either, because you can cut your teeth on leads. You can get experience on leads. You can get in front of people. And it's the same basic principle that Kathe just said. You have a lead, it's $30, maybe it's $40, whatever it is. You call it, you can, if it's a turn 65 lead, you can sell it. You can make $600-700 first year commission. And I did a training this morning with CSG Actuarial. They said that the average Medicare lifetime commission right now in 2022, they estimate, and this is averaging everybody. This is averaging people that keep their clients for 15 years, that take care of them, that just service them like maniacs, and people that don't service them at all. The average Medicare lifetime commission was close to about $1,800. So a way to think about that is, again, like Kathe said, you're not getting just the first year commission. You think about it like it's a $30 lead, it's a $40 lead. You're trading that to potentially get $1,800.
And it's an annuity.
Yes.
That money comes in. That's what I love about this business. I love recurring income. That is why I work. I want to hold up a sign on the side of the road. We'll work for recurring income. That's what I do.
Yeah.
And that's business.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's a great business. And those 10 clients, after you get 10, you have enough to get your first referral. When you have 10, you can start getting referrals. My first client gave me, lots and lots of referrals. She was thrilled with, I was nervous because she was my first client, but she was thrilled with me. And she told me, she told all her friends about me. And so it was really, really nice to be able to not have to pay for those leads, and they just came to me for free. It was great.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed part 1 of the 7 steps of building a successful Medicare practice. I certainly enjoyed it. I love these conversations. I could do these all day. We're going to be bringing you a second part of this coming soon, so make sure you watch the notifications and for all of the new content that we're going to be bringing with Kathe. And if you enjoyed this video, do us a favor. Let us know about it. Smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It helps us find more agents like you who need to hear this information. Comment your thoughts down below, what you thought about the steps we covered so far. Subscribe, and we'll be back soon next time with a part 2 of these 7 steps.
Thanks, Christian. Bye, everybody.